Hello, my name is Egon Cholakian. First and foremost, my heart is truly extended to all those affected by the devastating California wildfires, which are currently raging throughout the greater Los Angeles vicinity. These fires began a week ago, on January 7, and have eluded containment for the duration of the same time. As I record this video today, January 14, 2025, I'm advised that 5 separate and distinct wind-driven wildfires have claimed the lives of at least 24 individuals and scorched an unprecedented area of California, 40,600 acres of the greater Los Angeles region, destroying entire communities and consuming over 12,000 structures. For my non-US viewers, 40,600 acres equals approximately 16,430 hectares. As a scientist who routinely messages on the impending climate situation, and more so as a human being who spent many years residing in the Los Angeles area, I deeply empathize with everyone affected by this natural disaster. Each home and each life touched by these fires is not merely a statistic, but also a personal tragedy that resonates with pain in all of our hearts. I want to acknowledge the heroic efforts of the firefighting services, who at significant personal risk battle the flames tirelessly, day and night. Thanks to their selfless dedication, some progress has been made in containing the fires. However, the combination of arid weather conditions and strong Santa Ana winds has created an environment conducive to the fire's relentless spread. Each separate localized blaze reignites almost instantaneously as embers are carried by the wind. The unprecedented intensity of these wildfires is undoubtedly a result of the exponential rise in natural disasters on a global scale. With great regret, I must emphasize that this disaster marks only the beginning of the destructive processes we are likely to witness in the near future. The warnings I have issued late last year regrettably went unheeded. Likewise, our earlier projections about the increasing prevalence of fire-prone conditions have not received the necessary attention. The comprehensive climate model developed by AllatRa unequivocally indicates a trend of intensifying wind activity in the coming years. This demands immediate adoption and preventative measures, particularly in the urban planning and housing construction, in light of the growing fire risk. For residents whose homes were destroyed in the recent wildfire, the natural impulse is to rebuild on the same sites as quickly as possible. However, I urge you to exercise prudence. An analysis of climate trends indicates a high likelihood of similar natural disasters recurring in the coming years, potentially with even more severe consequences. This is due to prevailing wind patterns combined with increasingly severe drought conditions each year, creating the same weather dynamics that enabled the rapid spread of fire this time. These factors necessitate a thorough risk assessment when planning reconstruction efforts. Even measures such as increasing hydrant water pressure or expanding firefighting budgets cannot guarantee the prevention of future wildfires in this area. In light of this, I strongly recommend exploring alternative locations for housing where geophysical and climatic conditions offer a higher level of safety for residents and their property. This is not merely a suggestion, it is a matter of ensuring the long-term security of the population. A key recommendation for mitigating wildfire risk in this region, as well as in any fire-prone area, is maintaining a significant distance between new developments and forested areas. It is critically important to account for wind patterns and potential wildfire spread trajectories. Scientific analysis of these parameters must become a mandatory component of building regulations in regions with heightened fire risk. A precise science-based approach can significantly reduce the likelihood of fires encroaching on residential areas during high winds. This is particularly relevant for areas in California that have already been affected by wildfires this year. Implementing comprehensive fire protection systems is essential to ensure the safety of residents in existing developments. Investments in advanced firefighting technologies and preventative safety measures are not merely recommendations, but an urgent necessity, given the increasing climate risk each year. The economic cost of such systems pale in comparison to the value of human lives and the potential destruction caused by catastrophic fires. The ongoing California wildfire, based in preliminary estimates, is expected to become the costliest in U.S. history, with a potential damage projected at $60 billion, or according to AccuWeather, more than $250 billion. However, had we just allocated $1 billion to preventative measures a year ago, the destructive consequences of this wildfire could have been averted. Such foresight might have saved 24 lives and preserved the futures of tens of thousands of people who lived in the 12,000 homes now lost. An investment of $1 billion in preventative measures could have been a solution, not only averting this crisis, but also preventing its recurrence in the future. Consider the economic and moral implications of prioritizing preventative measures over incurring such enormous losses. The preservation of lives, property, and other irreplaceable assets far outweighs the cost of proactive measures. Indeed, this is self-evident. My argument extends beyond the United States, emphasizing resource optimization for other nations also grappling with the consequences of natural disasters of this magnitude. I also want to address the public. It is essential not to rush to place blame on the government when faced with a crisis. During emergencies such as wildfires, floods, hurricanes, or earthquakes, it is natural for people to expect immediate aid and rescue operations. For those affected, every second feels critical. Still, for the government to respond effectively, time is needed to assess the situation and make well-informed decisions. In the midst of a disaster, sending rescuers into affected areas without a clear understanding of the scale of the problem can exacerbate the situation, increasing the number of casualties and creating additional chaos. Determining the true extent of the disaster, identifying urgent needs, and developing a coordinated plan of action all require time. This is why it is crucial for individuals to recognize the importance of preparation and take an active role in learning emergency response protocols rather than relying solely on external assistance. In moments of catastrophe, understanding the seriousness of the situation and knowing how to respond appropriately can save lives. Panic and reckless actions often lead to tragedy. For instance, someone trapped in a fire may run back into their home to retrieve belongings or documents, or during a flood attempt to save a vehicle, putting their life in absolute peril. From an outside perspective, such behavior seems irrational, but for the individual, material possessions can cloud the perception of the threat. This lack of awareness or underestimation of risk becomes a critical problem. It is essential to understand that human life is the ultimate value. Recognizing this and knowing specific actions to take during a critical situation can save not only your life, but also the lives of others. When individuals are prepared for emergencies, they act more rationally. They are less reliant on external aid, which, while necessary, often takes time to arrive. Every citizen should take the precaution of preparing an emergency kit in advance, a compact backpack containing essential items such as documents, cash, dry clothing, a blanket, medications, a bottle of water, and non-perishable food. This kit should cover basic needs for several days in the event of a disaster. The go bag should be lightweight, take up minimum space, and if possible, include a life vest feature. This simple preparation can significantly enhance survival chances and reduce risk during natural disasters. Returning to the issue of safe urban planning in California, I would like to address recent seismic activity. This January, there have already been 3 earthquakes along the San Andreas Fault near the western coastline of San Francisco, the largest of which had magnitude of 3.7. While relatively minor, these tremors have caused an uptick in seismic activity in the city of San Francisco. These incidents have sparked discussions about whether they might be precursors to a larger earthquake along the San Andreas Fault, which historically has a recurrence interval of 100 to 300 years. Researchers suggest that the next major earthquake along this fault could occur in the coming years. Let's see, how can I comment on this? The 3 earthquakes mentioned earlier align with the broader trend of increasing seismicity along the Pacific Ring of Fire, which has surged several-fold since 1995, particularly in earthquakes with magnitudes above 3. We have discussed this many times and will continue to emphasize it. Seismic activity on Earth is steadily rising, showing the exponential growth irrespective of the increased number of seismic sensor coverage. This indicates that the probability of a destructive earthquake along the San Andreas Fault in the coming years is extraordinarily high. In certain areas, the Earth's crust is already experiencing overstress due to intensified magma pressure on the lithosphere from deep within the Earth. This process increases tension in the crust, which will inevitably result in pressure releases through localized earthquakes. We have not yet entered a period of sharply heightened seismic activity characterized by numerous earthquakes with magnitudes of 8 and above, or regions facing the consequences of mega earthquakes. However, we still have a window of time. It is our responsibility to use this time wisely. During this period of relative stability, it is crucial to approach building design and construction with the worst-case scenarios in mind. Building foundations must be engineered to withstand earthquakes of magnitude 8 and above, even in regions where such events are not currently occurring. Moreover, planning should take into account not only potential seismic events, but also threats posed by winds, droughts, floods, and other climatic and geophysical factors, regardless of the location. The era of stability is now behind us, and natural disasters will only intensify. The present moment is a critical period to prepare for future challenges and to implement measures that ensure humanity's safety. It is imperative that this awareness permeate not only global society, but also decision makers responsible for the security of populations in individual nations. The exponential increase in natural disasters continues, affecting hundreds of millions of people, with their consequences worsening due to inaction and disregard for warnings. 10 years ago, we urgently cautioned about the severity of these threats and called for immediate action. Had the necessary measures been taken then, we could have avoided today's devastating outcomes, ranging from intensifying droughts to unprecedented freezes and catastrophic floods. Unfortunately, our warnings were simply ignored, and now we are all grappling with far graver consequences that were entirely preventable. The root cause of the current tragedy in Los Angeles lies in the unpreparedness and inability to adapt to this new reality. We at AllatRa warned that ignoring planetary changes would lead to the exponential escalation of disasters. Yet, instead of acting, those who heard us chose to cling to the illusions of the old world. That world no longer exists. We stated that the intensification of winds, droughts, and other anomalies was inevitable. Still, our warnings went unheeded, and our projections, regrettably, are confirmed with every new event. One might ask, If everyone is talking about global climate change, why do our warnings so precisely align with what is happening? The reason is that all existing climate models, except ours, are no longer capable of accurately predicting the phenomena that are now unfolding in reality. A week ago, climatologists reported that in 2024, the Earth's average temperature rose more than 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels for the first time. Data released by the World Meteorological Organization serves as further evidence that the world is entering a dangerous zone far faster than was originally anticipated a few years ago. Recent studies reveal a significant gap between the projections of well-known climate models and actual climate changes. This discrepancy is now becoming evident even to the authors of these models. For instance, Columbia University climatologist Kai Kornhuber and his colleagues found that on all inhabited continents, hotspots have emerged where the intensity and frequency of heat waves far exceed the levels predicted by their existing models. Their study, published in November 2024, is aptly titled "Global Emergence of Regional Heat Wave Hotspots Outpaces Climate Model Simulations." Another relevant study conducted by Alexander Gottlieb and Justin Mankin of Dartmouth University showed that in regions where 1/3 of humanity resides, actual temperature records significantly surpass model predictions. A particularly striking example is the global temperature spike observed between mid-2023 and June 2024, which, according to Gavin Schmidt, director of NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies, cannot be adequately explained by current models. The climate change model we partially presented on the AllatRa platform a decade ago has recently been revealed to the public in a more comprehensive, though still incomplete form. Certain aspects of the model will remain confidential, as they are not essential for the general understanding of the processes at hand. The fundamental distinction and uniqueness of our model lie in its comprehensive consideration of a wide range of interrelated factors, not only climatic, meteorological, and atmospheric, but also geophysical, geological, oceanological, and cosmic parameters. Our forecast of increased seismic activity in both the Earth's crust and deep focus earthquakes, anomalous volcanic activity, rising supervolcano activity, shifts in ocean currents, ocean warming, and consequently the abnormal intensification of hurricanes, the rapid acceleration of winds, and the expansion of wildfire zones has been fully validated today. As early as 1995, we predicted a significant weakening of the Earth's electromagnetic field, a forecast now confirmed by the expanding areas where polar auroras are observed. Kai Kornhuber of Columbia University, whom I mentioned earlier, stated, "It should be worrying that we are now moving into a world where we've kind of reached the limit of our physical understanding of the Earth system." Thanks to a comprehensive interdisciplinary approach to scientific research, AllatRa has significantly advanced the understanding of processes occurring within the Earth system. Our research is founded on integrating data from various scientific fields, employing multifactional modeling, and rigorously verifying our results. These years of research have included a detailed analysis of the interconnectedness of geophysical, climatic, and planetary processes. Our interdisciplinary approach, which transcended narrow scientific specializations, was initially met with significant skepticism in academic circles. The compartmentalization of individual scientific fields hindered many researchers from seeing the complete picture of the processes unfolding on our planet. Today, the current anomalous observations and measurements across all layers of the Earth confirm the accuracy of our forecast and the validity of our chosen research methodology. For instance, we are witnessing two opposing trends. On the one hand, intensifying droughts and destructive winds. On the other, extreme cold and flooding. This duality of climate change was predicted in advance by our model. The AllatRa model has been fully validated by all the anomalies occurring to date, as volunteers from the project have consistently emphasized for the past decade. If the AllatRa climate model continues to prove its validity, the future of humanity will be bleak indeed. The events in Los Angeles are a direct consequence of ignoring our warnings about the exponential changes in climate that lie directly ahead. As early as 2018, we predicted an intensification of extreme weather events in the United States. It is worth noting that 8 of the 10 largest wildfires in California's history have occurred within the past 5 years, validating the forecasts made at that time regarding the intensification of cataclysms in the United States. The current situation could have been prevented through timely action in response to our warnings. However, adherence to outdated approaches and resistance to adopting to new planetary realities have led to catastrophic consequences. Let me stress again, everything happening now in Los Angeles and what will continue to happen globally is the result of failing to heed our warnings. If you ignore the warning signals presented by AllatRa once again, the consequences will be even more tragic. The world has changed dramatically, and the traditional methods of combating natural disasters are no longer effective. In my previous video address, I warned that natural catastrophes would intensify and urged people to prepare. Sadly, my words were not heeded, and now lives have been lost. This tragedy is a direct result of humanity's reluctance to face the truth. To protect yourselves and your loved ones, learn to listen to those who warn of problems and propose solutions. Learn to heed intelligent voices for your own safety. Currently, we are the only ones in the world openly warning about the impending threat of a magma plume breakthrough in Siberia. This disaster could surpass the events in Los Angeles by millions of times. Such an event would impact not only the regional climate, but also the global climatic balance of the entire planet. If our warnings are ignored again, I fear for the future of humanity on this planet. At present, controlled degassing of the Siberian plume, which we proposed 10 years ago, represents the most effective solution to both the looming magma crisis and the stabilization of climate and geodynamic disasters. As a specialist qualified in the planned degassing of volcanic systems, I can confidently state that scientific research confirms we have the technical capability to carry out a controlled degassing project. However, it is critical to act as soon as possible. The success of such a project is directly tied to how soon work begins. The earlier the decision is made, the greater the chances of its effective implementation. The primary challenge lies in the scale of this endeavor, which requires coordinated efforts from multiple nations. Without such corroboration, the opportunity to mitigate this crisis effectively may be lost. I truly hope to be heard. The successful implementation of the Siberian plume's planned degassing project could provide humanity with a safe developmental horizon lasting up to 250 million years. To grasp the magnitude of such a time span, consider the progress humanity has made over the past few centuries. How swiftly we advanced from the invention of the first steam engine to space travel, from the first radio transmission to today's quantum computing technologies. From the widely accepted scientific perspective, modern human civilization emerged around 10,000 years ago. It took 9,712 years to go from early civilization to the invention of the steam engine, yet only 249 years from the steam engine to the first spaceflight. From the first successful transmission of sound to the release of the first iPhone, just 132 years passed. With a long-term secure outlook for development, the potential of human civilization is virtually limitless. Imagine what we could achieve as a civilization if we possessed the wisdom and humanity to buy more time for the advancement of human society. Is this worth striving for? In my view, it absolutely is, because nothing is more valuable than human life. The critical question for humanity's safety is not whether the international community can overcome the technical challenges of implementing the Siberian plume's planned degassing. The real challenge lies in overcoming political divisions between nations to realize a project of such scale. My colleagues and I harbor doubts about humanity's ability to cross this political barrier in time. For this reason, we are actively exploring alternative approaches and searching for other solutions. However, to my knowledge, no one has yet proposed a method as effective, reliable, and fundamental for addressing the planetary climate and geodynamic crisis as the planned and controlled degassing of the Siberian plume. Why does this solution currently seem to be the only viable one? The processes of magma heating and expansion occurring within the Earth, driven by the influx of additional energy, can be controlled through managed degassing. When the planet deforms internally due to immense internal pressure, the only rational course of action is to relieve the stress in the Earth's crust, where the pressure from magma is most intense. This zone is, in fact, Siberia, where the mantle's melting is causing the rise of a massive magnetic river that erodes the crust, thus forming a gigantic plume which melts and exerts enormous pressure on the crust from bottom to top. During this brief moment while I'm speaking with you, imagine the volume of solid crustal material that this magnetic river flowing from our planet's liquid core into the regions beneath Siberia has melted. In other words, it has transformed a portion of the solid crust into a liquid, superheated state in the form of a continuously forming plume. To make it clear, let me explain. During this short period of time, the thermal energy in this constantly growing plume has increased far more than the energy released from the California wildfires. Just imagine what awaits us. After all this plume is growing every second, accumulating a colossal amount of energy. If we successfully execute controlled degassing, we can navigate the dangerous phase of geological changes of the 12,000-year cycle of planetary catastrophes. This plan is not based on speculation, but on rigorous scientific research. I deliberately refrain from delving into details here, as this information has been extensively discussed in my previous videos and in materials created by AllatRa volunteers, which you can review at your convenience. As a specialist, I must emphasize that the process of planned degassing requires meticulous preliminary preparation, including comprehensive research, detailed modeling, and the development of technical documentation. The implementation of a project of this magnitude is a multi-stage process that cannot be completed within a single calendar year. Each stage demands a scrupulous scientific approach and thorough verification of the obtained data. I truly hope to see the time when humanity witnesses groundbreaking scientific breakthroughs once again. As a researcher, I clearly understand that achieving this goal requires the consolidation of international efforts and the demonstration of strong political will in addressing global challenges. This vision is not rooted in idealism, but rather on understanding the colossal capabilities of existing global scientific potential that can be realized through the unification of the entire scientific community. But do we have enough will to live in the wisdom to do so? Can we as humanity overcome mere political differences merely for the sake of preserving life on this planet and securing a future for our children? I pose this question to each of you.